In the next few hours, we are going to learn a lot about the Python programming language with the help of the examples and Python programs as well. While you are watching this video, please make sure that you pause this video and practice on your own so that on different inputs you get different output, and that is how you are going to learn about the Python programming language. You can also watch my other Python tutorial and Python program videos which are available for free on YouTube. The link to those playlists I have given in the description section below. And we are going to cover all the basics about the Python programming language. So let's get started. Python tutorial for beginners. So if you are completely new to programming languages and want to start with the Python programming language, then this video series is for you, and it doesn't matter even if you have learned the other programming languages such as Java, C, C++, and if you are going to learn the Python language for the first time, you can watch these videos so that we can get started from the completely beginner level and we reach up to the intermediate and expert level as we go through the different concepts of the Python programming language. So guys, first of all, we are going to check the environment setup using the Python language, and we are going to use the VS Code as the editor. Now over here VS stands for Visual Studio, and we are going to use the Visual Studio Code editor in order to write our Python programs. Apart from this VS Code setup, we are also going to see how do we write the first Python code and execute it. So guys, basically I have written down the steps to install the VS Code editor and Python interpreter over here. So first of all, we are going to install VS Code using this link that I have already provided in the description section. So when you hit this URL in the browser, this is the page that is going to open from where you can easily download the Visual Studio Code. It depends on your operating system which installer you want to download. You can also download for Windows, Mac OS and Linux systems over here. So it depends on your operating system. Once you have downloaded this and installed the VS Code on your machine, the next step is to install Python extension in VS Code. So guys, once you have installed the Visual Studio Code, this is the get started page that you will see in the Visual Studio Code IDE. So over here, first of all, you are supposed to install the Python extension. So on the left hand side, as you can see, there is an extensions button over here on which you can click, and then this particular section will open. So over here in the search bar, you are supposed to type Python. So once you type Python, there will be list of extensions that will be available for you. So guys, this is the extension that you have to install over here. So as you can see, Python, IntelliSense, PyLens, and this is the description that you can see on the right hand side. So since I have already installed this Python extension on this Visual Studio Code, I am getting this uninstall button, but you will be getting the install button over here if you have not already installed this particular extension. Now guys, this Python extension helps us in order to write the Python programs very efficiently. It allows us to have the code completion feature. Along with this, we can also run the Python code and have the output from within the Visual Studio Code itself. So guys, it is very important extension if you are going to learn Python and want to write the Python programs. Now guys, coming to the next step, we have to install the Python interpreter using this link that I have already provided in the description. So once you open this URL in the browser, over here this is the page that will open for you, and this is the official website of the Python programming language from where you can download the latest version for Windows over here. Since my machine is Windows, I will be downloading this Python, and the latest version is 3.11.1. It might so happen that you are watching this video in the future for which the latest version might be something else. So you can download the latest version of the Python interpreter from here. Apart from this, you can also get the links to the installer if you are using some other operating system over here. So guys, once you have installed Python on your machine, you can quickly open command prompt. So over here in the command prompt, you can simply type py followed by double hyphen characters, and then you provide version, and then when you press enter, as you can see, Python 3.11.1. this is the version of Python that is already installed on my machine. You might have some separate version, but the command will be same in order to check whether the Python is successfully installed on your machine. Now guys, after successful installation, what you have to do is, the last step is to connect this Python interpreter in VS Code. So we select the Python interpreter in VS Code. So over here, you have to come on this settings on the bottom left, and then over here you can see the command palette. You can also have the shortcut key as Control plus Shift plus P if you're using the keyboard keys. And then when you click on this, on the search bar you have to type Python and then colon, and then we have select interpreter. So as you can see, this is the option, and when you click on this, As you can see, this Python 3.11.1 is getting displayed over here, which you are supposed to select in order to select the Python interpreter. Now guys, what we are doing over here is we are connecting this Python interpreter with this Visual Studio Code so that whenever we write the Python code, our program gets executed successfully on the VS Code itself. Now guys, it might so happen that you don't get this option. That's because you have installed Python after installing VS Code. So you can simply restart this VS Code in order to get this option over here. And once you select this option, you are ready in order to write the Python programs in the VS Code IDE. So guys, just by using these 4 steps of installation, you can quickly get started in order to write the Python programs in the VS Code. And all the steps have been documented in this official documentation of the Visual Studio website. So you can check the content of this documentation as well. The link I have given in the description already. Now guys, we are going to write the first code in Python. So what we are going to do is we are just going to close these tabs over here and we are going to open this Explorer. Over here it is saying no folder opened initially. So what you can do is you can create the folder initially in order to organize all your Python programs. So basically I am going to just create a new folder over here and I am going to say Python. So this is the name of the folder and then I'll select this folder over here. So as you can see, a new folder that is Python has been created. Now you can write Python programs inside this Python folder. You can have any other folder in any of the directories. It depends on you where you want to store the Python codes that you will be writing from now on. So what we will be doing is, as you can see, this is the icon. It says new file. So we will be clicking on this new file and let's say I provide the name of the Python program as Python followed by underscore and then we have code followed by dot, we have py. So guys, this is very important that after typing the name of the file, we have to append it with .py. This is the extension of the Python program and this extension will help the VS Code in order to interpret that this is the Python code and it should execute this code using the Python interpreter. So guys, I am going to press enter over here and once we press enter, this Python code.py, it is going to open automatically over here. Now simply we can print some content in our Python program as the first code in Python. So over here we have something called as print statement. As you can see, once we type print, it is auto suggesting us what are the different keywords that we can use. So when we press enter over here, this print gets selected automatically. Now inside the open and close parenthesis, what we are supposed to do is we can type one particular statement, that is the name of the YouTube channel, that is Programming for Beginners, which you should definitely subscribe. So this is a string, that is a statement that we have given over here, and this is the very simple Python program that we can write. And what this will do is it will simply print this content, that is Programming for Beginners, on the console. So guys, over here you have to come on file and then you can click on save, or else you can use the Ctrl+S on the keyboard in order to save the file, which I am going to do in the upcoming videos as well. So first of all, you save this file and simply you have to come on this top right corner over here. You can see this Run Python File button over here. So when you click on this Run Python File, the terminal will open and it will execute this file, that is Python code.py, that we have simply created over here. And as you can see, Programming for Beginners string is getting printed. So guys, in this way we have written the very first code in the Python, and using the print statement we have printed the Programming for Beginners. We can print any other statement over here as well. So let's say I'll provide this as a statement. And then when we save this file and try running this code once again, as you can see, this is a statement is getting printed over here on the terminal. So guys, this is the way we can easily set up our Python interpreter along with the editor, that is Visual Studio Code. You can use any other editor that you want, such as you can simply use the Notepad file as well, but you will not get such strong features which are provided by the Visual Studio Code in the Notepad file. Apart from that, you can also use Notepad++, or we have a very popular IDE, that is PyCharm, and apart from that we have many other editors that you can use, but VS Code is one of the lightweight editors that you can use when you are writing the Python programs. Python data types, in which numeric, string, list, tuple, set are included. So guys, these are the different data types that we can see in this video and the upcoming videos as well. So basically in computer programming, data types specify the type of data that can be stored inside a variable. So for example, number, it is equal to 24. So 24 value belongs to the numeric data type and this is the integer value. Inside the numeric data type, we have many other data types such as integer value. Then we have float value as well, in which there is a decimal point. We have a complex value as well, in which, as you can see, this expression, that is 1 plus 2j, this is a complex expression. So all these are having numeric data types over here. So number over here is a numeric data type or the integer. As you can see, 24 is the value. If it was 24.5, then we would say that number variable is of float data type. So guys, let us check this with the help of example. What we can do is we can simply copy these lines of code over here. I'll copy this and we'll paste this over here. Now what we will do is this constant.py that we had created previously, I'll just remove from our Python folder over here since it is no longer needed, and we will simply keep python code.py where we are going to write all the programs over here. So guys, over here I'll simply replace the content of this file by this content. I'll save this file, and over here in the terminal I'll simply clear the screen. So as you can see, num1, it is defined as 5, which is the integer that is being assigned to num1. So the data type over here will be the integer data type, and using this print statement, what we are doing is we are using this num1 and then followed by comma is of type, which means num1 will be printed, that is 5 will be printed, and then we will have is of type string being printed, and then type, this is another method that is being used in order to get the type of a variable. So as you can see, this is the syntax that first we provide type and then followed by open and close parenthesis, and over here inside this we have num1, that is the variable name. Guys, similarly we have provided num2 as 2.0, and the same thing we are doing, that is we are finding the type over here, and then in the num3 as well we are getting the type of this num3 variable. Let me just save this file and try running this code now. So as you can see, 5 is of type class int, so this is of the integer data type. 2.0, since it is having the decimal over here, it is saying it is of type float over here, and 1 plus 2j, it is of type complex over here. So these are all numeric data types, and inside the numeric data types, these are described as integer, float and complex values. Now apart from this guys, we have other data types as well, such as string that we had seen previously. We have list as well, tuple and set. So guys, let us check this one at a time. So over here what we will do is simply I'll provide str, and then I provide the str value as programming for beginners. So what we will do over here is we want to find the type of this str variable. So what we can do is we can simply have the print statement followed by open and close parenthesis, and we can simply have the type function. So guys, as you can see, type is being auto suggested over here. We will select this, and inside the open and close parenthesis we will use this variable. So I'll just copy this and paste this over here, that is str, and then when we save this file and try running this code now, as you can see, class, that is str, is getting printed over here. We can also have some string value over here, that is first of all we are going to type str, that is the value of this str, and then followed by comma, and then we can simply have is of type inside the single quotes over here. Guys, it is very important that whenever you want to type certain characters, we should either have it inside the single quotes or double quotes, as we have seen over here. And then when we save this file and try running this code, it will show us the data type of this string with a more sensible statement. So as you can see, programming for beginners, this is the string value that we have given, and then is of type. Now this is of type we have provided over here, and then this type function, that is str, it is returning the type of this str variable, which is class str over here. So this is of string data type. Now guys, this str over here, it stands for string and not the name of this variable. If I provide here something else, then it will be more sensible. So let's say if I provide statement over here as the name, I'll copy this and paste this over here, and when we run this code once again, so as you can see, it says class str is of type class str. So since we have not replaced this str with the statement, that is why we are not getting it properly. I'll run this code once again now. So as you can see, programming for beginners, which is the value of this statement variable over here, and then is of type, and then we have class str over here. Now apart from this, we have other data types as well, such as list, which can be defined as the square brackets. So what we have to do is, let's say I provide list1 as the name of the variable, and then equal to, now guys, list is nothing but it is a data type that have collection of elements. So over here, let's say we have collection of strings. So let's say we have collection of fruits over here. So the first fruit is apple, followed by comma, and then again we have double quotes, and then we have mango. So all the elements are being separated using the comma over here, as you can see. And then let's say we have banana over here as the third fruit. So what we can do is we can simply have print statement over here, and then we can have type of this list1. So I'll say list1 over here. When we save this file and try running this code now, as you can see, class list is getting printed. So this is of data type, that is list over here. Similarly, we have tuple and set as well, which we are going to see in the upcoming videos. What are the different contents of these data types and how do we use them and when do we use them? So guys, for now you just need to remember that whatever value that we provide to a particular variable, automatically that data type will be assigned to that particular variable. Basic input and output in Python programming. So guys, in this tutorial we will learn simple ways to display output to the users and take input from users in Python with the help of examples. Now guys, as we have seen previously, in Python we can simply use the print function to print the output. So let us check this with the help of example over here. So I simply want to print a statement. So let's say I want to print programming for beginners. That is the name of this YouTube channel, which you should definitely subscribe if you have not subscribed it yet. So once we provide the string inside the double quotes, we can simply save this file and try running this code now. So on the terminal, we will be able to see this string getting printed, that is programming for beginners. I have missed out an O character over here. So this is the correct string. So programming for beginners is the string that we want to print, and that is what we have got over here in the terminal. Now guys, even with this print function over here, this is a function and it takes certain parameters. So parameters are nothing but certain values that you can provide to the function. So as you can see, the actual syntax of the print function accepts 5 parameters. So basically we have only provided one parameter over here. This can be treated as a parameter, that is the value that we want to print. Now apart from this, we also have other parameters as well. So object is the parameter, which is nothing but the value to be printed. Apart from that, we have separator, then we have AND parameter, file, and then flush parameter. So these are the 5 parameters and these are the descriptions of each and every parameter. So over here, the separator, which is an optional parameter, since we have not provided any separator over here, it allows us to separate multiple objects inside print. So let's say after this string, I want to provide another number over here. So let's say 1, 2, 3, 4 is the number that I want to provide. Now I want these objects, that is one is programming for beginners, which is a string, and another object that is a number to be separated using commas. So what we will do is, after providing comma, we will use the SCP, that is another parameter. As you can see, VS Code is providing us the auto completion feature over here. So we just need to select that, and then we need to provide single quotes, and inside this we provide comma followed by the space character. So guys, what will happen is all the objects will be separated by using this comma and the space character over here. It depends on your requirement how many objects you want to provide inside this print statement. So let me just save this file and try running this code now. So as you can see, programming for beginners, and then we have this comma followed by the space character, and then we have this 1, 2, 3, 4 object being printed over here. We can have another object. So let's say I provide another string, that is another statement over here. So let me just save this file and try running this code now. So we are getting an error, invalid syntax, perhaps you forgot a comma. So basically after providing each and every object, we have to separate it using the comma over here. And then let me just save this file and try running this code now. So as you can see, programming for beginners followed by comma, and then we have space characters, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Again we have comma and then space character, and then we have another statement. So guys, in this way we can use the separator parameter as well in order to separate the different objects inside the print function. Now going to next parameter, which is AND over here, which is again optional. By default it is the /n character. in which case the control flow goes to the next line whenever there is another object that is getting printed over here. So as you can see, it allows us to add specific values like new line or tab character. So guys, let's say we have this print function over here. I'll just remove this part of the line over here, and let's say I have another print function, in which case I am providing another statement. So let's say we have another statement over here. So guys, what will happen is by default this AND parameter is having the /n character, which means the control flow should go to the new line whenever there is a next print statement that is encountered. So let me just save this file and try running this code now. So as you can see, programming for beginner string is getting printed in first line, and on the second line another statement is getting printed. Now what if we want both these statements to be printed on the same line but they are present in the different print function? So what we will have to do is, in the first print function I will provide a comma over here, and then we have the AND parameter. So as you can see, this AND parameter we have to select, and then inside the double quotes I'll simply provide the full stop followed by the space character. So guys, what is happening over here is, after the string is getting printed, at the end of the line we are providing this full stop and then followed by the space character, and then whenever there is a next string that is encountered by the control flow, it will get printed on this same line. So let me just save this file and try running this code now. So as you can see, programming for beginners, and then we have a full stop, and then we have the space character as well, and then we have another statement that is getting printed. So guys, we can also use this AND parameter if we want multiple print functions to be used, but all the objects need to be printed on the same line. The other two parameters are file, which is again optional, where the values are printed. So basically by default the values are printed on the screen, and that is why its default value is system.stdout, which means it should print on the screen. You can also provide some file path over here so that the content can be written in the file. Apart from that, we also have the flush, which is again an optional parameter. It is a boolean specifying if the output is flushed or buffered. So by default it is having the false value. So guys, these two parameters you can practice on your own as a homework for you. Apart from that guys, it is very important that how do you take input from the user in Python programming. So basically while programming, we might want to take the input from the user. In Python we can use the input function. So as you can see, we have a variable over here, or we can say identifier. It is equal to, we have used the input function. So guys, this input function, it will take a parameter which will be kind of a label which will be printed on the screen for the user as an instruction. So we are asking the user to enter a number, and the number that will be entered by the user will be stored in this num variable over here. So guys, let us check this with the help of example now. I'll just remove these lines of code. So what we have to do is, let's say we provide the number variable, it is equal to, we have to use the input function. As you can see, this is the function that is being suggested by the VS Code over here, and then using the open and close parenthesis, inside this we have to provide a string inside the double quotes. So we can simply provide enter a number. Now this is an instruction to the user to enter the number. Now guys, what we can do is we can print this number now. We can easily print this by using a string. So let's say we provide the string over here, that is entered number is, and then followed by colon, and then after this object we have to provide a comma, and then we can provide the number variable to be printed. So we have provided the number variable over here. Let me just save this file and try running this code now. So as you can see, it is asking the user over here to enter a number. So what I will provide is, simply I will provide 10 as the number, and then when I press enter, as you can see, entered number is 10. So this string is getting printed along with the number that is being entered by the user. Now guys, it is very important to note that whenever we are using this input function, the input that is taken by the user will be of the type string over here. So if we print the type of this number variable over here, let me just do that. So we simply provide data type of number colon, and then what we have to do is, after comma we have to use the type function, and inside this function we have to provide the number variable. Let me just save this file and try running this code now. Enter a number. So let's say I provide 10 as the number, As you can see, entered number is 10, and after this data type of number, it is class string. So this is of string data type. So whatever input is being taken from the user, it will be stored as a string. So what we have to do is we have to convert it into a number. Now since this is a string, we cannot add another number to this particular number. So let's say if we try to add some another number over here, so we simply do number plus 5 over here. Let me just save this file and try running this code now. So when we provide 10 as the number, when I press enter, as you can see it says can only concatenate string, not int. That's because we are trying to concatenate a string with a number over here, that is the integer. So what we have to do is we have to convert this input into an integer. So we can simply provide int over here, and then the entire input function needs to be enclosed within the open and close parenthesis. So guys, this we had seen previously as well. This is the explicit type conversion over here, which is the manual type conversion, in which we are converting the string data type to the integer data type. And now we will have the integer over here, which can simply be added with another integer. So let me just save this file and try running this code now. So as you can see, enter a number. This time let's say I provide 15 as the number, and then when I press enter, as you can see entered number is, so what is happening is this number, that is 15, was taken, and then 5 was added to this number, and that is why 15 plus 5 is 20, and this number is getting printed over here. And you can see this data type of number, now it is of the type integer. That's because we have used the type conversion over here. So guys, this is the way you can take input from the user. Make sure that whenever you're using the input function, the data that is being entered by the user is of the type string, and you need to convert it into the appropriate data type before you can use the other operators. Arithmetic operators in Python programming. So guys, arithmetic operators are used to perform mathematical operations like addition, subtraction, multiplication, and many other operations which can be done using the integers or the numbers in Python. So guys, for example, let's say we provide the print function over here, and inside this function we provide 5 plus 6 as the parameter. So what will happen is the plus operator is being used over here in order to add these two numbers, that is 5 and 6, and the result, that is 11, will be printed. So let us quickly check this with the help of example over here. So what we will do is we will use the print function, and inside this parenthesis we will simply provide 5 plus 6 over here. And when we just save this file and try running this code now, so as you can see 11 is getting printed. So guys, what we have done over here is we have simply used the plus operator in order to add two numbers. We can also do this by using the variables as well. So let's say we provide num1, it is equal to 10, and let's say we provide num2, it is equal to 20, and then let's say I provide sum, it is equal to num1 plus num2 over here. So guys, basically once again we have used this plus operator in order to add two numbers, that is num1 and num2, for which the values are 10 and 20 respectively, and the result will be stored in this sum, and when we provide this sum inside the print statement, we will get that result. So let me just save this file and try running this code now. So as you can see 30 is getting printed, that is the sum of 10 plus 20 over here. So guys, this is one of the arithmetic operator, that is plus is being used in order to add the two numbers. Apart from this addition, we have other operators as well. As you can see subtraction we have, in which the two numbers can be subtracted. So over here 4 minus 2, it is equal to 2. So over here minus operator is being used. We have multiplication as well, in which multiply operator is used in order to multiply two numbers. We have division as well in order to divide the two numbers. So as you can see 4 divided by 2, it is equal to 2. So we are getting the quotient over here, and we have the modulo operator as well, which can be used by using this percent operator. So guys, what happens is 5% 2, what this will do is it will divide the number on the left hand side, that is 5, by the number on right hand side, that is 2. So 5 divided by 2, it will give us the quotient as 2, but the remainder will be 1, and we will be getting the remainder of this operation, that is 1 over here. And similarly we have power operator as well. So as we can see 4 and then 2 times multiplication symbol over here, which is the power symbol, and then 2, which means 4 multiplied by 4 will be done, which is equal to 16. So basically this is nothing but the square of the number. In this case it is the square of this number, that is 4. So guys, let us check all these operators with the help of examples over here. So what we will do is, first of all we will print and add two numbers. So let's say we provide 10 as first number and 20 as the second number. So this is the addition of two numbers. Let's say we want to subtract two numbers over here, and the two numbers are, let's say 20 and then minus, what we do is we will minus 15 over here. Let's say the third expression is multiplication, so I will simply provide 5 as the number multiplied by 7 as another number. The next operator is the divide operator. So let's say I provide the print statement over here, and we provide 50 as one number divided by 10 as another number, and then we have another print statement. Let's say we want to find the remainder after dividing two numbers. So let's say 40 is one number, and then we provide percentage sign, and then we provide 15 as the second number. And then the last operator, that is the power operator, I simply provide 5 as the number and then 2 times multiplication over here, which means power, and then I provide 2 as the second number. So guys, let me just save this file and try running this code. We will check the results of all these operations over here. So as you can see, the first print statement, that is 10 plus 20, it is providing us 30 as the result, and this is the correct result over here. 20 minus 15 should be 5, and that is what we are getting over here as 5, and then 5 multiplied by 7, it is equal to 35, and we are getting 35 over here. Then 50 divided by 10 should give us the quotient, that is 5, and we are getting 5.0 over here. And then 40% 15, which means 40 is divided by 15, and then what is the remainder is getting returned to this print function, and 10 is getting returned. Why? 40 divided by 15, the quotient will be 2, that is 15 multiplied by 2 is 30, but the remaining number will be 10, which will be the remainder, and that is what we are getting over here as the 10 as the remainder. And then 5 power 2, which means 5 multiplied by 5 is done over here, and 5 multiplied by 5 is 25, and that is what we are getting over here. So guys, these are certain arithmetic operators that you can use, which include addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and then finding the remainder of the two numbers by dividing them, and then we can also find the power of the number. So guys, you can use them based on your requirements. Logical operators in Python programming. So guys, the logical operators are used to check whether an expression is true or false. So they are used in decision making. So as you can see, for example, let's say the value of a variable, that is a, is equal to 5, and the value of b variable is 6 over here, and we have the print statement over here, and there are two conditions that we are checking. First of all, whether a is greater than 2. So in this case, the return will be true over here. That's because the value of a, that is 5, is actually greater than 2 over here. And then as you can see, this AND keyword, this is nothing but this is one of the logical operators. It is being used in order to check the multiple conditions, and the second condition that is being checked over here is whether b is greater than or equal to 6. So in this case, since b is equal to 6, so yes, in this case it is also true. So basically, since both the expressions over here, that is the second expression and the first expression, is true, and because this AND logical wants all the expressions to be true, the return for the entire expression will be true over here. So as you can see, these are certain logical operators over here. First of all, we have the AND operator, which means a and b, it is true only if both the operands, that is a and b, are true over here. Similarly, we have OR as well. So as you can see, A or B, in this case only one operand needs to be true, that is only one condition needs to be true over here. So this will be true if at least one of the operands is true. And then we also have the NOT operator, in which case we can use it as not A. So it will be true if the operand is false, and it will be false when operand is true over here. So guys, let us check all this with the help of examples over here. So let's say we have the variable, that is a is equal to 5 and b it is equal to 6 over here. So we simply have the print statement, and let's say we provide the condition, that is a, is it greater than 2 over here, and we also have another condition. So using the AND logical operator over here, we can combine multiple conditions. So next time we will be checking whether b is greater than or equal to 6. So guys, in this case, both these conditions, that is a greater than 2 will return as true, and then b is greater than or equal to 6 will also return as true. So this entire expression will be true over here. So let me just save this file and try running this code now. So as you can see, true is getting returned over here. Now what if one of the conditions is false over here? So what we have to do is, let's say I provide a less than 2, in which case this particular expression will become false. So let me just save this file and try running this code now. So as you can see, false is getting returned. That's because one of the expressions while using the AND logical operator is false over here. And according to rules, all the expressions while using the AND logical operator must be true in order to return the true as the result. Now guys, if we check the same conditions, that is both these conditions, by using the OR logical operator, so we simply have to provide OR over here, and let me just save this file and try running this code now. So as you can see, true is getting returned. That's because the second expression over here is true and the first expression over here is false. So anyway, the OR logical operator wants one of the conditions to be true, and that is why we are getting the true as the result over here. What if we make the second condition false over here? So let me just change this expression to b less than 6 over here. Let me just save this file and try running this code now. So as you can see, false is getting returned. That's because is a less than 2? No, in this case. So false is getting returned over here. And is b less than 6 over here? No, in this case it is equal to 6. So this expression is also false. So the entire expression is false, and that is the only combination where the OR logical operator will return us the false result. Now guys, when do we use this NOT operator over here? So let's say I have just a simple expression. So over here I will provide is a less than 4 over here. So in this case, is a less than 4? No, so it should return false. So let us save this file and try running this code now. So it is returning false over here. But what if we want the opposite of this result? So if the result of any of the expression is false, we want to print true. But if the result of any expression is true, we want to return it as false. So what we have to do is we simply have to provide NOT logical operator, and the expression needs to be provided within the parenthesis over here, as we can see. So let me just save this file now. So since it was returning false, by using the NOT logical operator, it should now return true. So let me just run this code once again. So it is returning true over here. Similarly, if let's say this particular expression turns out to be true, so we will get false as the result. So let's say I provide a greater than 4. So is a, for which the value is 5 over here, is it greater than 4? Yes, in this case. So this will return us true, but since we are using the NOT logical operator, it will return this true result to false, and it will be printed. So let me just save this file and try running this code now. So as you can see, false is getting returned over here and it is being printed. So guys, these are certain logical operators that we will be using in the upcoming videos as well, when we are going to use the if else statement. Apart from that, we will be also using the while loops and other control statements as well, where we are going to use these logical operators. So guys, practice on your own so that on different inputs you get different outputs. If else statement in Python programming. So guys, in computer programming, we use the if statement to run a block of code only when a certain condition is met. So for example, as you can see, assigning grades, that is A, B, C, based on the marks obtained by a student. So basically over here in this case, we will be using the if condition. Now what can be the conditions? We can say that if the percentage of the student is above 90%, so assign grade A. In the same way, if the percentage is above 75%, then assign grade B, and if the percentage is above 65% but less than 75%, then assign grade C. So during such conditions, we have to use the if else statement over here. Now similarly in Python, there are 3 forms of if else statement. So we are going to check all these forms of statements one at a time with the help of examples. The first part is the if statement, in which case we are going to simply have the if statement over here along with the condition and the block of code. The next form will be if else statement, in which case we will also have the else block over here. And the third form of the if else statement will be, first we will be having the if statement and then followed by the elif statement, in which case we have another condition over here, and then finally we have the else statement over here. So let us check all this with the help of examples in the VS Code. So over here, let's say we have the value of x, it is equal to 10. Now what we have to do is we have to provide the if condition over here. So as you can see, when we type if keyword over here, VS Code is suggesting us that we can use this if keyword. So we are going to use this, and then we are supposed to have some condition. So we can say x greater than 5 over here. So guys, this is one of the comparison operators that we have already seen previously. It will check whether this left hand side variable, is it greater than the value that is present on the right hand side. So guys, this is one of the conditions that we are going to check, and then followed by a colon over here. So guys, this is the format in which we provide the if condition, and if this condition, that is whether x is greater than 5, if it is true, then we want to come inside this and there will be the block of code. We need to have certain statements over here. So we will say print, and we can simply put the string that is x is greater than 5 over here, since that is the condition that we have checked. So this is the very simple code that we can have with the if condition over here. Let me just save this file and try running this code now. So as you can see, it is displaying x is greater than 5. Now guys, this is just one statement that we have provided inside the if condition. We can also have multiple lines of code inside this block over here after the if condition. So we simply have to press enter and provide the another print statement, and let's say we will simply put we have checked x. So we have a very general statement over here, that is we have checked x over here. Let me just save this file and try running this code now. So as you can see, x is greater than 5, this thing is getting printed, and this statement that is we have checked x is also getting printed. So all the lines of code that is present inside the block after this condition that we have provided in the if statement will be executed only when this condition, that is x greater than 5, is true. Now what if this condition is not true? So let's say I provide x less than 5 over here, in which case this condition will become false. So what will happen is the control flow will not go inside this block and it will not print these statements over here. Let us verify this. I will just save this file and try running this code now. So as you can see, nothing is getting printed over here. That's because these lines of code are not getting executed because this condition was false. Now how do we verify that? We have to come out of this block. So basically we have indented this code, that is there are some space characters over here in this line. That is why these lines of code over here are treated to be present inside the block after this condition. We have to come out of that block over here. So we simply press enter and then we press backspace so that the cursor is aligned to this if condition over here. Now we can simply provide another print statement, and I will simply say outside if statement. So over here we say outside if statement. Now guys, this line of code, it will confirm that the control flow has come out of the if block over here. So let me just save this file now and try running this code. So as you can see, we are getting outside if statement. That's because x less than 5 condition was false, and that is why these two lines of code were not printed, and then the control flow came out of the if condition, and then this line that is outside if statement was printed. So guys, it is very important that you follow this indentation as far as your Python programs are concerned. You might get incorrect output if you don't follow such indentations properly. Now let us move to another form of if statement. So over here the second form is we provide the else part as well. So the first part we have already seen, that is using the if statement. Let us now use the else statement as well. So over here what we will do is, first of all we will check whether x is greater than 5, and then we will print that is x is greater than 5 over here. Now what if x is not greater than 5? That means it is less than or equal to 5. So we have to define the else part over here. So first of all we have to remove this indentation part. So I'll just press on backspace and then we provide the else keyword. As you can see, VS Code is suggesting us this else keyword over here. We will use this and then followed by colon, and then we can go inside this block of code, and similarly we will have another print statement. In this case we will say x is not greater than 5. So we are checking whether x is greater than 5, and we will say x is greater than 5 if this condition is true, and if this is not true then it will go in the else part and it will say x is not greater than 5. And after this part of code gets executed, the control flow will come over here and it will print this statement, that is outside if statement over here. So let me just save this file and try running this code now. So as you can see, it says x is greater than 5. So over here, since the value of x it is 10, it is printing x is greater than 5 after this x greater than 5 condition is true, and then after that we are getting outside if statement. So the control flow did not go inside this else part. That's because it went inside this if part and this line of code was executed. So guys, the control flow can only go inside one block of code. If this condition is true, then it will come out, it will not go inside the else part, and if this condition becomes false, then it will go over here in the else part and execute that line of code. So let us check that second scenario now. What if x is not greater than 5? So we will change the value of x and let us say the x values is 2 now. So in this case, is x greater than 5? No, in this case. So this line of code, that is x is not greater than 5, should get printed. Let me just save this file and try running this code now. So as you can see, x is not greater than 5. This line of code is getting printed. That's because the condition was false and the control flow came in the else part and it executed this line of code. After this, outside if statement got printed over here, as you can see on the console. So guys, this is one of the examples of the if else statement that we can use. Guys, there will be many instances where you will be using this if else statement in your actual programs. So make sure that you practice on your own. Now after this, let us see another part, that is we have the elif as well. So guys, let us take this example over here, that is of grading system. So if the percentage is greater than 90, we have to assign the grade, that is A. If the percentage is greater than 75 but less than 90, then we will say the grade is B. And if the percentage is greater than 65 but less than 75, then we have to put the grade as C. So guys, let us move to the code over here. Let us clear all these lines of code, and over here we will simply have the percentage variable, and let's say we have 95 as the percentage initially. And then we have another variable, that is grade. Let's say it is equal to D initially. So we have this character, that is D over here. Now what we have to do is we have to provide the if condition, and the first condition is whether the percentage is above 90. So over here we will say inside the if condition, first of all, whether this percentage is it above 90 over here. So we will simply have percentage greater than 90, and if this is true, then we have to provide colon, and then we have to make the value of this grade as A. So grade, it is equal to A over here inside the single quotes. Now we have another condition, that is if the percentage is greater than 75, but if it is less than or equal to 90, then it should be B. So what we have to do is we can use the elif part over here. So we have elif keyword. So as you can see, VS Code is suggesting us this elif keyword over here, followed by we have to check whether this percentage again is it greater than 75. So over here, if it is greater than 75, then we have to come in this block of code, and then after this again we have to assign the value to this grade variable, and this time the value will be B over here. So we will assign the value to grade as B, and then after this we will again have the elif part over here, and we need to check whether the percentage is greater than 65 or not, and then in that case we have to provide C. So over here we will say elif percentage, it is greater than 65 in this case, and then if this is true, then we have to provide the grade value as C over here. And then guys, we can also have the else part over here, and we can simply provide that the grade in the else part, it can be D over here in case the percentage is less than 65. So we can have grade as D, and then finally we will have the print statement over here. So we have the print function, and we will simply provide the grade value. So the grade is, and then we have comma, and then the grade variable over here. So guys, over here as you can see, initially the percentage is 95, so it should go inside the first if statement. So let me just save this file now and try running this code. So as you can see, we are getting some error over here at the else part. So over here we have forgot to provide the colon after the else part. So it is very important that we provide the colon after any of these keywords that we have used and the conditions that we have used. So let me just save this file and try running this code now. So as you can see, the grade is A. That's because the percentage value is 95, and in this case percentage is greater than 90, and that is why the grade is being assigned as the value as A. Now what if the percentage value is not greater than 90? So let's say we provide the percentage value as 85. So in this case the control flow will come over here. It will check whether percentage greater than 90. No, in this case, then it will go inside the elif part. So is percentage greater than 75? Yes, in this case. So this line of code, that is grade equal to B, will get executed, and then the control flow will come directly out of the if else statement, and it will print the grade over here. Let me just save this file and try running this code now. So as you can see, the grade is being assigned the value as B. So grade is B is getting printed over here. Similarly, let's say we provide the percentage value as 70. So this time this condition, that is percentage greater than 65, will get executed because the previous conditions are already false in this case. So let me just save this file and try running this code now. So grade must be C. So as you can see, the grade is C over here. And what if the percentage is less than 65? So let's say we provide the percentage as 60. So finally the else part, that is grade equal to T, will get executed. So let me just save this file and try running this code now. So now in this case the grade is D. So in this way we can easily use the if else statement. We can also use the elif keyword in order to check the intermediate conditions over here. For loop in Python programming. So guys, in computer programming, loops are used to repeat a block of code. So let's say for example, if we want to show a message 10 times, we don't have to print that 10 number of times over here. We can simply use the loop in order to repeat the same message again and again 10 times. So in Python, the for loop is used to run a block of code for a certain number of times. So in this example, we have considered 10. We can have any number of iterations. So basically it is used to iterate over any sequences such as list, tuple, string, etc. So guys, this is the syntax of the for loop in Python programming. So first of all, we have the for keyword followed by a particular value or a variable, and then we have this in keyword, which is a kind of a membership operator that we have seen previously, and then we have the sequence. Now this sequence can be anything. It can be a list, tuple, or any other sequence over here. So let us check this with the help of examples now. So over here, what we will do is, let's say we have the variable name as x and we have the list of numbers over here. So in order to define the list, we have the open and close square brackets, and we have the list of numbers. Let's say we have 1 followed by 2, and then we have 3, 4, and then 5. So we have the top 5 numbers over here inside this list that is defined in the variable x. Now what we want to do is, we want to print all these numbers one at a time on the separate lines. So we can simply use the for loop over here. So for, and what we will do is, let's say we provide value as the variable name, and then we provide the in keyword, which is the membership operator, and after this, on the right hand side of the in keyword, we are supposed to have the sequence. So the sequence in this case is the variable that is x over here. So this is the format of the for loop whenever we are going to iterate through a list or a sequence. Now inside this we can have the block of code over here. So we simply want to print all the values. So we have the print function, and we can simply provide this value, that is variable. So guys, what is happening behind the scenes is, this x, that is the list of all the numbers, one at a time the number is being assigned to this variable, that is value. So first of all, 1 will get assigned to value, and this value, that is 1, will get printed, and then the control flow will go back again in the sequence that is x. It will check whether there is a next element or not. So 2 will get printed, and then again 3, and then 4, and then 5, and then after this, when the control flow comes over here, it sees that there is no other element after this 5th element. So the control flow will come out of this for loop, and then the other lines of code after this for loop will get printed. So guys, let me just save this file and try running this code now. So as you can see, all the numbers are getting printed over here on the terminal, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now guys, let's say we want all these numbers to be printed on the same line. So previously we had seen that we have certain parameters in the print function that will help us in order to print the values in a specific way. So over here we have one of the parameters, that is end over here. So we provide end, and this parameter helps us in order to separate the different elements that we want to print. So what we are going to do is, I am going to separate all the numbers using the comma character. So I have provided the comma character over here. So all the numbers that were printed on the different lines will get printed on the same line now. So let me just save this file and try running this code now. So as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is getting printed. We are getting this additional comma over here at the end. That's because after the last value is getting printed, the comma is appended after that last value. So guys, this is one of the ways in which we can use the for loop in order to carry out our operations. Now guys, there is another important thing that you must know. In Python, the for loop with Python range can also be used. So in Python, a range is a series of values between two numeric intervals. We use the Python's built-in function, that is range, to define a range of values. So let's say we want to define the top 10 numbers over here. We can simply use the range function instead of defining them one at a time like how we have defined in this list. So So basically, in order to have the top 10 numbers, we have to manually define it as 1 to 10 over here. But we can also get rid of this part. We can have the range method over here. So as you can see, when we type range, VS Code is suggesting us this function that is range over here, and we simply have to provide a number over here. So let's say we provide 10 as the number. So what is happening is the list of 10 numbers over here is getting assigned to the variable that is x over here, starting from the number 0 up to the number that is 9. So over here we will be seeing all the numbers starting from 0 up to 9 over here. The last number that is 10 is excluded from the list. So if we simply save this file and try running this code now, we will get these numbers, that is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 10 numbers are getting displayed over here. That's because we have provided 10 inside the range built-in method. What if we provide 20 over here? So 0 to 19 numbers will be displayed. So let me just save this file and try running this code now. So as you can see, 0 to 19 is getting displayed. So guys, let's say if someone had told you write a Python program in order to print top 20 numbers starting from the number 0 up to 19. So instead of having the print statements 20 number of times and writing each and every number inside the print statement, we can simply have the range method over here, and we can use the for loop in order to iterate through the list that we have already defined over here. And that is how we simplify the problem that is given to us and write the Python program. Now guys, there is another variation over here, Python for loop with the else part. So after this for loop, we can also have the else part that will mandatorily get executed after we reach the end of this sequence that we have provided in the for loop. So what we will do is we will simply come out of this block of code and we will have the else part over here, and we will simply print outside for loop over here. So we have outside for loop. So guys, what will happen is after the control flow comes out of this for loop, the control flow will go inside this else part and it will execute this line of code and print outside for loop on the console. Now guys, this print statement will be printed on the same line. That's because we have provided the end part over here and there is a comma over here. So you can expect the string to be present on this same line over here. So let me just save this file and try running this code now. So as you can see, 0 to 19, that is all the numbers are getting printed, and then the last line, that is outside for loop, is getting printed over here. So in case you want to print something or carry out certain operations after the execution of the for loop, you can have the else part as well, and it will carry out the operations over here after the end of this sequence is reached. So guys, this is the main functionality of the for loop, that is in order to iterate through the sequence. We can also have the sequence of list of strings as well. We can also have tuple or dictionary as well. So guys, it depends on your requirements as to what exactly you want to find out through the Python programs. While loop in Python programming. So guys, previously we have seen how the for loop works in the Python programming. Now the Python while loop is used to run a specific code until a certain condition is met. So basically in the for loop there was no such condition that we had provided, but it was iterating through a list that we had provided in the form of a variable. But over here, this is the syntax of the while loop. First of all, we have the while keyword over here, and then we have a certain condition, and if this condition is true, then only the control flow will go inside the body of the while loop, and then again the control flow will come over here. It will check the condition again, and if the condition is true once again, it will again go inside the body of this while loop. So guys, again and again the control flow will come inside the while loop until and unless the condition becomes false. So when this condition becomes false, the control flow will come out of this while loop, and that is how the while loop is going to work in the Python programming. So guys, let us check this with the help of examples now. So let's say we want to print the first 5 numbers, that is 1 to 5. So over here initially we can have the variable that is I, it is equal to 1, and the second variable that is j, it is equal to 5. So this is the starting point, that is I equal to 1, and the ending point is j is equal to 5. So basically we can have a while loop over here. We will simply have the while keyword, and the condition that we have to give is whether I is less than or equal to j, and up to that condition we want to print the value of I. So basically it is I less than or equal to j over here. So if this condition is true, we want to print the value of I, which will be 1 initially. So basically I want to print this number, that is I over here. Now guys, what exactly is happening over here is i's value is 1 initially, j value is 5 initially. So is I less than or equal to j in the first instance? Yes, in this case, so I will be printed which is equal to 1. So again it will go inside the while loop and it will check whether 1 is less than or equal to 5. Yes, in this case. So guys, we are not changing any of the values, that is I or j over here. So this will be infinite loop, because again and again the condition will be true and the number, that is I, which is equal to 1, will get printed indefinitely. So what we have to do is we have to increment the value of I, because after 1 we want to print the value that is 2 over here. So what we will do is we will simply add 1 to I. So I, it is equal to I plus 1. We can also use the shorthand method, that is I plus equal to 1 over here. So what will happen now is I's value is updated to I plus 1, which will be 2 now. So is 2 less than or equal to 5? Yes, in this case. And then again 2 will get printed and then I will again get incremented over here. So the I's value will be 3. Next time I's value will be 4 and then again I's value will be 5. And then ultimately when I's value is 6, this condition will become false. That's because 6 is not less than or equal to 5 and the control flow will come out of the while loop. So guys, let me just save this file and try running this code now. So as you can see, all the numbers, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is getting printed. After the I's value is 5 over here, 5 is getting printed. Now I's value becomes 6 over here. That's because 5 plus 1 will be 6. And is 6 less than or equal to 5? Because the J's value is 5 over here in this case. So no, the condition becomes false and the control flow comes out of the while loop. Now what if we want to print all these numbers on the same line? So simply inside the print statement we can have the comma and then we can have the AND operator, and then let's say we want to separate all the numbers with the space characters. So inside the double quotes we have provided the space character over here. So let me just save this file and try running this code now. So as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is getting printed over here. We can have any numbers over here. Let's say I is starting from 11 and let's say we want j is equal to 20. So in this case 11 to 20 should get printed. Let me just save this file and try running this code now. So as you can see, 11, 12, 13, 14 and up to 20 numbers are getting printed over here. So guys, this is the main functionality of the while loop. It is going to have a certain condition, and if this condition is true, the block of code inside the while loop will get executed. And once the condition becomes false, control flow comes out of the while loop. Now guys, we can also use the else part with the while loop. So over here, as you can see, Python while loop with the else part. So a while loop can have an optional else block as well. The else part is executed after the condition in the while loop evaluates to false. So basically after this while loop we can also have the else part, which is optional. So we can have the else part over here. What we will do is we will simply have the print statement that is outside the while loop. So we have the print function and we will say outside while loop over here. So let me just save this file and try running this code now. So as you can see, 11, 12, 13 up to 20 numbers are getting printed, and then on the same line the outside while loop, the statement that we have provided in the else part is getting printed. So this is the functionality of the else part after the while loop. It is optional. If you want to have, we can have it, or else we don't need to have it. But guys, the important thing is inside the while loop we can provide a particular condition and the control flow will go again and again inside the while loop until the condition is true. Once a condition becomes false, the control flow will come out of the while loop. Now guys, what you should use, whether you should use the Python for loop or Python while loop over here. So guys, basically they are used based on the specific requirements. So as you can see, for loop is usually used when the number of iterations is known. So as we had seen previously, in the for loop we provide a particular sequence and iterate through that sequence by giving one value at a time to a variable, and we use that variable inside the block of the for loop. But in the while loop there is a condition. So while loop is usually used when the number of iterations are unknown. So we don't know the number of iterations, we don't have the sequence of elements or the list of numbers through which we want to iterate. So basically we provide the condition in the while loop. So based on these requirements, you can choose whether you want to use the while loop or you want to use the for loop. But guys, it is very important that you practice both these loops. The implementation of these loops are very important as far as Python programming is concerned. So functions in Python programming. So guys, we will learn about the Python function and the function expressions with the help of examples. So basically a function is a block of code that performs a specific task. So it can be any task that you want to implement implement based on your requirements, but it is the block of code that you can put inside the function, and that block of code will have your implementation of the logic. Now suppose you need to create a program to create a circle and color it. So there are two tasks over here. That is, first of all, in order to create a circle, and the second thing is to color it. So you can create two functions to solve this problem. That is, the first function will be to create a circle, and that will be one function, and another function will be to create a color over here. So basically what we have done is we have divided a complex problem into smaller chunks, which makes it easier to understand the program and reuse the functions as well. So there are two types of functions. So first of all, we have already seen some standard library functions as well. One of the example is the print statement, that is the print function. So these are built-in functions in Python that are available to use. So let us check some examples of standard library functions over here. So previously we have seen the print statement. So this is nothing but one of the built-in functions which take multiple parameters. So one of the parameters is the value. So when we are providing programming for beginners, the string, which is the name of the YouTube channel as well, which you should definitely subscribe. So this is the string that we have provided to the print function, and this string is being passed to the print built-in method, and behind the scenes this print function is having some sort of code that will help us in order to print the statement on the terminal. So when we save this file and try running this code now, basically this programming for beginners is getting printed. What we have done, we have just called that function, and the implementation is behind the scenes. So this is one example of a built-in function. Similarly, we have another built-in function, that is range, which helps us in order to have the list of numbers from 0 up to the number that we have provided. So let's say we provide the number 10, so it will provide us all the numbers before 10 starting from 0. So this is another built-in function. So similarly, we have other standard library functions as well. Now you can also have the user-defined functions. So in case your requirement is not fulfilled by using one of the standard functions that is being provided by Python, you can have your own user-defined functions also. So we can create our own functions based on our requirements, and this is the syntax. That is, first of all, we have this keyword, that is def, which means define, and then we have the function name. So this function name will be the name of the function. Like this range is the name of the function, then the print function, the print name is the function name over there. So similarly, we can have our own function name, and after that we have the list of arguments. We can have any number of arguments over here. Inside that we will have the function body where our implementation code will be present, and then we can also have the optional return statement, which means it will return some value. So over here, as you can see, this is the example. We have the define keyword and then followed by the greet function over here. So it is not taking any arguments for now. It is simply printing some statement that is inside greet function. Now how do we call this function? Simply we use the function name, that is greet, followed by open and close parenthesis, and then we call the print function and we say outside function. So guys, let us check this with the help of example over here. So simply we will have the define keyword, so def, and let's say we have sum and then underscore numbers. So basically what we are doing over here is we will be adding two numbers. So over here we have the open and close parenthesis, and then after that we have a colon, and let's say we have the number a, it is equal to 10, and then we have number b, it is equal to 20. We want to print the sum of these numbers, so we simply provide print function inside this, and we say a plus b, and then we can also have the string over here. Let's say we have sum of a and b, and then we have colon, and then after this we have comma, and then we have a plus b over here. So guys, this is the function that we have already defined. We have two numbers, that is a is equal to 10 and b is equal to 20. Now if we simply save this file and try running this code, we will not get anything. So as you can see, there is no print statement which is helping us in order to print something on the terminal. Why so? Because this code is present inside a function which is not called yet. So we need to call this function, that is sum numbers. So how do we call it? By simply calling the name. So we simply have to provide some numbers over here and then open and close parenthesis, and that's it. We have simply called this function, which will make the control flow go to this particular function over here, and inside it will check that a value is 10, b value is 20, and it will print sum of a and b. It will carry out this operation, that is a plus b. So let me just save this file and try running this code now. So as you can see, sum of a and b, it is equal to 30, and that is how we can simply provide the function. Now guys, why do we write this function? Just to add two numbers. So let's say you have a scenario, you have a, it is equal to 10, and then we have b, it is equal to 20, and you want to print the sum. So you can simply provide print a plus b. So you will get the answer as 30. Now with the same requirement, you have another requirement as well. In the same code, that is with this particular addition, you want to add more two numbers. So what you will do is you will simply copy and paste these lines of code once again, that is the 3 lines of code over here, but this time the a's value is something else. So let's say we have something like 50 and then 60 over here. So what will happen is with this print statement, it will print the sum of these two numbers. Now let's say there is another requirement, in which case all the sum needs to be printed at once and you have two more numbers. So you will again copy these lines of code and then again paste this over here, and then let's say the numbers are 100 and then 200 over here, that is b is 200. So let me just save this file and try running this code now. So what is happening is all the sum is getting printed once, that is 30, 110 and 300. But let's say similarly, if you have 10 sets of a and b values in this way and you want to print all the sum of those numbers, so what you will do? So your code will become little bit complicated and it will be little bit lengthy as well. So in order to avoid this, what you can do is you can simply have the function, and inside the function you can have those variables and have the sum of those variables. So in order to achieve your task, that is have the sum of multiple numbers over here in one screen and using the function, what you can simply do is you can pass these values, that is 10, 20, 50, 60 and 120 while calling the function, that is sum number. So I'll just remove these lines of code now over here, and what we will do is I will simply provide the parameters, that is the arguments over here, that is a and then followed by comma and then we have b. Now these a and b are not required because the values will come whenever this function is being called. So I'll just remove these lines of code over here. You will simply have one print statement inside the function, and the sum of a and b, it is a plus b. So this sum will get printed over here. While calling the function, you are supposed to provide the a and b value. So what we will simply do is I will simply call this sum numbers over here and I will provide the values of a and b. So what we had provided, we had provided 10 and 20, and then again we had the requirement, that is to add the other two numbers which were 50 and 60. So again I will just copy paste this sum numbers function and provide the different values this time, and then again I will copy and paste this once again with some different values, so 100 and 200. So as you can see, our code has become little bit cleaner. Instead of having 3 lines of code in order to add 2 numbers every time, for which our code has also become lengthy, we have a very short code and it is very clean as well. It is very readable as well. So let me just save this file now and try running this code. So as you can see, we are getting sum of a and b, it is 30, sum of a and b, it is 110, and sum of a and b, it is equal to 300. You can also customize your function in order to have the values of a and b over here. So we can simply say over here we have the double quotes and then we have comma and then we have a over here, and then we have double quotes and then we have and keyword, double quotes and then b value and then comma and then double quotes over here before the colon. So as you can see, a and b values can also be printed. So let me just save this file and try running this code now. So as you can see, 10 and 20 were passed first time, so it is saying sum of 10, 20 it is 30, then sum of 50 and 60 it is 110, and then sum of 100 and 200 it is 300. You can call this function any number of times with different values in order to get the different sum over here. I'll say 200 plus 300 again, and then let's say I provide 400 and 500 over here. Let me just save this file and try running this code. All the sums are getting printed and our code is also very clean over here. So guys, this is the main functionality of using Python functions. You can simply have the define keyword followed by the function name, and then this arguments list is optional over here. You can pass it, or if you don't want to pass it, there is no need to pass. So as you can see over here, Python function arguments, this we have already covered, that is in order to pass the argument. Now one last thing is return statement. So guys, we have not checked any return statement over here. So return is nothing but it will return some value. So let's say instead of having the print statement over here, we want the print statement outside the function. So what we can simply do is we can simply return the expression, that is a plus b. So we can have the return keyword over here. So it will say return a plus b. So simply whatever value were being passed over here, that is 10 and 20, it will return the sum, that is 10 plus 20, it is equal to 30, to this code. And over here we should have something in order to catch that value. So I'll just remove these lines of code for now. And then let's say in order to catch the value, I provide the sum variable. So this sum variable is assigned the value that is being returned from the sum numbers over here, which is equal to the sum of these two numbers. And then simply we can have the print statement in order to print the sum value. So sum variable can be printed. So let me just save this file and try running this code now. So as you can see, 30 is getting printed. That's because we have passed 10 and 20 over here. Also, to make it more short, what we can do is, instead of storing the value inside this variable, we can simply have the print statement, and inside the print statement we can simply call the sum numbers function. So as you can see, we have the print statement. Inside this we are calling the sum numbers 10 and 20. So it will return 10 plus 20, it is equal to 30. So let me just save this file and try running this code now. So 30 is being printed. Let's say I change the numbers to 20 and 50 over here. So 20 plus 50 should be 70. Let me just run this code. So 70 is getting printed, and based on the requirement you can format the print function, that is you can have any statements being printed over here along with the sum of the numbers. So guys, this is one of the examples of how you can define the functions and use them. You can have any other logic inside the functions that you want to implement based on your requirements. So guys, practice on your own so that on different inputs you get different output. List in Python programming. So guys, a list is a collection of similar or different types of data. So for example, suppose we need to record the age of 5 students. So instead of creating 5 separate variables, we can simply create a list. So as you can see, this is the way that we create the list. First of all, on the left hand side we have the variable name, and then on the right hand side, inside the open and close square brackets, we have the list of elements which are separated using the commas. So I'll just copy this line of code over here, and then let us move to the VS Code and paste this. So as you can see, on the left hand side it is the variable name of the list, and on the right hand side we have the age of all the students over here, and simply we can print the list by using the print function. After this we can provide the variable name, that is list. So let me just save this file and try running this code now. As you can see, we are getting the list of all the elements in the sequence that we had provided over here. It is very important that all these elements are separated using the commas over here. Now guys, the list can have the same kind of elements, that is this one is having the list of integers data type only, but we can also have the string as well in between. So let's say we have a string called John over here in between this list of elements. So this is also possible. It will not throw any error while we are running this code. So let me just save this file and try running this code now. As you can see, we are getting the list of all the values 17, 18, and then we are getting John, and then 19, and then 14. So this is a kind of a heterogeneous list, whereas when we have the same kind of data type in the list, then it is called the homogeneous list. Now how do we access the Python list element? So basically this is one way in order to access the list. But what if we want to access only a single element? By using this print statement, we have accessed all the elements over here, but in case we want to access a particular element from this list, then what we can do is, in Python, each item in a list is associated with a number. So the number is known as a list index. So basically all these numbers, that is the elements of the list that are present inside the list, so these are associated with the indices which starts from 0. So the 17 number is at the 0th index, 18 number is at the first index, and so on. This is at the second index, third index, and then so on. So basically these elements can be accessed using these indices. So as you can see, we can access elements of an array using the index number. Now how do we access them? So what we can do is, we simply come over here. I'll simply change this to the number 15 that was there previously, and what we have to do is, let's say I want to access this element, that is the 4th element. So what will be the index? So this is 0th index, then we have 1, and then 2, and then 3. So this is the 3rd index. So we can access by using the variable name followed by open and close square brackets, and inside those brackets we have to provide the index number, that is 3 in this case, which represents this number, that is 19. So let me just save this file and try running this code now. As you can see, we are just getting 19 over here. Previously we were getting the entire list when we don't provide this index number. I'll save this file. So as you can see, all the values are getting printed, but when we provide the index number, let's say I want to print 18 this time, which is at the index 1 after this index, which is 0. So I provide list of 1 over here, save this file and run this code. So as you can see, 18 is getting displayed, and this is how it is one way in order to access a particular single element inside this list by using the index number. Now it is also possible that we provide the negative index in Python. So Python allows negative indexing for its sequences. The index of -1 refers to the last item, -2 to the second last item, and so on. So for now we know that the 0th index is the first element over here, and then the first index is the second element. But what about the last element? Let's say we don't know the length of the list, like how many elements are present inside the list, and we want to get the last element over here. So since the first element is at the 0th index, the previous index, that is before 0, which is -1, it will point to the last index of this list, that is 14 over here. So what if we simply do list of -1 in this case? So I'll just provide -1 in this case. Let me just save this file and try running this code. As you can see, we are getting 14. So basically the -1 index will point to the last element of the list in this case. Let's say we want to get the second last element. So in this case, we will simply provide -2. So after -1, we are having -2, which will be the previous element of the last element. So let me just save this file and try running this code now. So as you can see, 19 is getting displayed now. And this is the way that we can also use the negative indexing as far as accessing the last elements of the list are concerned. Now there is another concept of slicing in Python list. So in Python, it is possible to access a section of items from the list using the slicing operator, which is nothing but a colon, not just a single item. So let's say we want to access the second and third elements inside the list. So we have to use the slicing operator in this case. Now what is the slicing operator? While providing the indices inside the open and close brackets, we have to provide the indices and separate them using the colon. So what is the index of the second element? It is 1 over here. Since the first element is having the 0th index, we don't want that. We want to start from the first index, and then we also want the second index. So this time we have to provide the next number, that is at the third index now. So after this 1, that is the first index, we have to provide colon, and then we provide 3 over here. So 3 is not included in this case. Please remember that whenever you are providing the ending index, that element will not be included whenever you are using the slicing operator over here. So the elements that will be considered in this case will be at the index 1 and at the index 2, which means 18 and 15. So let me just save this file and try running this code now. As you can see, we are getting 18 and 15 only. Let's say you want to get all the elements starting from this 18. So this index is 18 right now, and there is no end index that you want to specify over here. So we simply have to remove this 3, and then we can simply specify 1 followed by the colon. So this will make Python interpreter to consider all the elements after the first element, including the first element itself. So let me just save this file now and try running this code. So as you can see, we are getting all the elements, that is 18, 15, 19 and 14, starting from the first index over here. So guys, this is the way that we can use slicing in the Python list. Also, in order to consider all the list elements over here, we need not have to specify any of the indices. If we simply provide the colon over here, all the elements will be considered. Let me just save this file and try running this code now. So as you can see, all the elements are getting considered, but this thing is kind of a redundant over here. That's because if we simply provide the variable name, that is list, still all the elements will be considered. So if we run this code once again, so all the elements are being considered over here. Only when you want to consider the subset of this list, you have to use the slicing inside the Python list. Now let us move to the next concept. How do we add the elements to a Python list? So there are two ways to add the elements in the Python list. The first way is to use the append function, which will help us in order to add a single item in the list. And the second way is to use the extend function in order to add another list to the already existing list. So let us check this with the help of examples now over here. Let's say we already have this list of values inside the list variable, and now we want to add more elements. So what we will do is we will say list followed by dot, and then we have something called as append. So this is a function which will take a single element and it will add to the end of this list. So let's say I want to provide 25 as the age of another student. So let me just save this file now and try running this code. So as you can see, this element that is 25, it is already added at the end of the list now, and in this way we can use the append function to add more elements inside the list. Now let's say we have another list over here. Let's say I provide a list 1 and the numbers I provide is 1, 2, 3 over here. So 3 elements are there and we want to add all these elements to the original list, that is list variable. So what we can do is we can use the extend function in this case. So we have to use this list variable, which is the original list variable, followed by dot, and then we have the extend function, and inside the parenthesis we have to provide this argument, that is list1, which is another variable having the list of elements. And now if we print this list, it will have the updated list of values. So let me just save this file and try running this code now. So as you can see, after this 14, 1, 2, 3 elements are also getting added over here since we have used the extend function in this case. Let us move to another section. Can we change the list items? So basically the Python lists are mutable, meaning lists are changeable, and we can change items of a list by assigning new values using equal to operator. So what I will do over here is I'll just remove these lines of code. So I'll simply provide the original list over here. So we will say original list followed by colon, and then we will print the list. So let me just save this file and try running this code now. We have the original list over here. I'll just spell this correctly. So we have the original list 17, 18, 15, 19 and then 14. Now let's say at the third position, that is 15, we want to change this element to 10. Now this is being referred to the second index over here. So this is 0th index, then 1 and then second index. So what we have to do is simply we have to provide list followed by, inside the square brackets we will provide the index number, that is 2, and then equal to the new value, that is 10, that we want to replace it with. And then again what we will do is I'll simply copy this line of code and paste this over here, and then we will say updated list. And let me just save this file now and try running this code. So basically, as you can see, original list, it is having 15 at the third position over here, that is at the second index, and the updated list is having the number 10 at the same second index over here. And this is the way that we can update the list elements. So since Python lists are mutable, we can change the elements of the list as well. Now removing an element from the list, so there are two ways. Either we can use the del function or else we can use the remove function as well. So let's say over here we have the original list now. So I'll just remove these lines of code, and then we can use the del function and then followed by list, and let's say I want to remove this fourth element, that is at the index 3, which is 19. So I'll just provide list of 3 in this case, and then what I will do is I will print the updated list once again. So I'll just change this to updated list. So basically we are using the del method over here and deleting the third index inside this list. So let me just save this file and try running this code now. So as you can see, we are getting the updated list as 17, 18, 15 and 14. This element, that is 19, it was removed already. Now instead of this we can also use the remove method. So in that case we have to use the variable name first. In the del method, that is the delete method, we simply used the function name and provided the element from the list in order to remove from that list. But over here we have to provide the variable name followed by dot, and then we can simply use the remove function and then followed by the position. So which position we want to remove? So let's say I want to remove this element, that is 18 over here. So in this case we have to provide the value of the element that is present inside the list. So in this case we provide 18. In the previous example that we have taken using the del method, we used the index number of the element that is present inside the list, but in this case we have to use the value in order to remove it. So I'll just save this file and try running this code now. As you can see, 18 was present in the original list, but in the updated list we don't have 18. It is 17, 15, 19 and 14, and in this way we can remove the elements from the list as well. Now very important operation, how do we iterate through a list? So basically we can use the for loop to iterate over the elements of a list. So till now what we have seen is we have just used the list, that is the variable name, in order to print the elements of those lists. Now if you notice, we are getting the square brackets over here, open and close square brackets, within which all the elements are getting printed. But let's say we don't want those square brackets and one by one we want to print all the elements at a time. So what we can simply do is use the for loop, and we have seen in the previous videos as well the syntax of the for loop. We have to use the for keyword followed by, let's say, a temporary variable name, that is item, followed by the in keyword, and then we have to provide the sequence, that is list, and then after that we have the colon, and then we can have the print statement over here. Now in the print statement, if we only provide one item, that is item in this case, so every time all the elements will be printed on the separate lines over here. So let us just try this code. So we'll just save this file and try running this code now. As you can see, 17, 18, 15, 19, 14, all the elements are getting printed on the separate lines. What if we want all the elements to be present on the same line? So what we can do is, after providing comma over here, we have the end parameter inside the print function, and this end parameter we can have the comma as the character by which we can separate all the elements. So by default this is /n character, which means the next element will be printed on the next line, but if we specify this in this way, all the elements will be printed on the same line. So let me just save this file now and try running this code. So as you can see, all the elements are getting printed on the same line in the same sequence that is present inside this list. So in this way we can iterate through all the elements inside the list that are present by using the for loop over here. Now another important thing, how do we find the list? So we have something called as Python list length. So in Python we use the len function to find the number of elements present in a list. So we can have any number of elements inside the list over here. So there is no limit on the number of elements that we are supposed to have inside the Python list. So in case if we want to find the number of elements inside the list, we can simply use the length function. So we can simply print this, and then we can have len, which is a function, and then we can provide the variable name of the list inside this len function over here. So it will return us the count of the elements inside the list. So let me just save this file and try running this code now. As you can see, 5, that is the count of the number of elements inside the list is present over here. If we provide some more elements over here, let's say I have provided 5 more elements inside the list. Let me just save this file now and try running this code. So we are getting the updated count, that is 10. So 10 is the number of elements that are present inside the list, and that is how we can easily find the length of the list in this case by using the len function over here. So guys, these were certain operations as far as list variable is concerned. Please make sure that you practice on your own, and as a homework for you, there is something called as a sort function which can help you in order to sort all the elements inside the list. So you can practice on your own as a homework for you in order to sort the elements inside the Python list and print on your own. So we have come to the conclusion of the Python programming language. Hopefully you have got enough knowledge about the Python language, and you should practice on your own so that on different inputs you get different outputs, and that is how you are going to learn more about the Python language. So that's it in this video. I'll see you in the next video. Till then, stay tuned.